If you're teaching yourself graphic design, focusing on software in the beginning is killing your progress. It's preventing you from achieving real results faster, and it's also making your learning even more frustrating. So in this video, I will demonstrate why starting with software skills in the beginning is a complete mistake, and I will break down the three main reasons why learning software in a vacuum is destroying your progress. And I know this firsthand because this mistake completely stopped my progress back when I was teaching myself graphic design when I was in my 30s. And once I realized this mistake, I was really able to focus on the real key to become an effective graphic designer. My design started to improve almost immediately, and I was able to become an effective, confident designer. So when I started learning graphic design, I thought that software skills were the way to go. I thought that if I learned enough tricks and skills, I would become a graphic designer. But that wasn't the case. And this is what happens, for example, with social media. If you go to YouTube, if you go to Instagram, you will see people trying to teach you Photoshop tricks or Illustrator tricks, how to remove a background, how to crop images. I learned a bag of tricks of my own. And what I realized is that none of these tricks were improving my designs. So my designs looked terrible and amateurish. So let's look at the three main reasons why software is stopping your progress right now. Number one, good graphic design is not dependent on computers. So I always tell my students that good design is software agnostic. So what that means is that software is a tool, and there are many tools you can use to achieve great design. So if you think about this, back in the early days of graphic design, compositions and graphic designs were done manually. So computers were not needed. There are many, many examples of great, legendary graphic design that was not done on computers. So that means that graphic design is not necessarily dependent on a specific tool, such as a computer, okay? So that means that there must be something else apart from computers that makes or breaks a design. So in other words, computers are not mandatory to create graphic design. Number two, good design begins on a blank page, not on the computer. So effective graphic designers start planning out a design well before they go onto the blank screen of a computer. They sketch out, they strategically apply the design principles that they will use and that will be more effective for this design. And every great designer understands this. Designs start out on the blank page. So this means that you could even plan out a design very carefully and really understand what goes on in a composition. And then you can even have someone else do it for you, okay? Or even use AI to create this design because you have already applied the knowledge. You have already envisioned what the composition will be. So now you can go on to the secondary aspect, which is putting it all together. Number three, software tricks and skills have nothing to teach you about good design. What I mean is, cropping images, removing backgrounds, colorizing, vectorizing, all these tricks and stuff that you can do in software will not necessarily make a better design if you do not understand what a good design is in the first place. These are tools that you can use to achieve a good design once you really understand what a good design is. So pushing buttons on a program or software will not automatically or magically improve your designs if you don't know what a good design is. So this is the key to learning graphic design. First of all, you need to learn the golden rules of design, rules that apply to all designs, independently of how you want to achieve these designs. So you could do these designs manually. You could do them on PowerPoint. You could do them on Canva. You could do them on Illustrator. It doesn't really matter because once you understand what goes into a great design, now you can actually start creating designs independently of software. And this is very simple, actually. These golden rules of design have been around for millennia, okay? And they just tell you what works and what doesn't work in a design. And the good thing about these rules is that they can be learned. So that means that you can learn these principles and immediately start applying them to real design. So remember how crappy my designs were in the beginning? Well, once I realized how to apply design principles, my designs improved drastically, almost overnight. It was magical. And now I was able to apply these principles over and over and over. And that's when my path as a graphic designer really took off. That's when I started to gain the confidence to start selling and charging for my services. And that's when I started to become an effective, confident graphic designer. And this also really helped me in my learning moving forward. If you're teaching yourself graphic design, this is the plan that I recommend you follow if you want to be successful. Learn graphic design principles, but also learn how to apply graphic design principles. Now, there are many resources out there, and I'll leave some links in the description, but I just wrote a very short book that clearly explains how to think like a designer and how to apply graphic design principles to real designs. There's a link below if you want to check it out. Number 2, get started with projects. Now that you understand what graphic design principles are and how to apply them, now you can start getting involved with actual projects. So you will start planning these projects. It could be a flyer, it could be a logo for a friend, it could be a banner for your YouTube channel, but start out planning your designs, not on software, but on a piece of paper, on a notebook. Start planning these designs and start envisioning what principles you need to apply to this composition. So now you're getting ready to start using the software. And number 3, learn software accordingly. So now that you have planned your designs, now that you know how to apply design principles, and now that you have a clear understanding of how to make a composition that works, now you can move on to the software. And as you start playing around with software and as you start trying to accomplish a design in software, well, problems will arise. So now you can look up these specific problems and solve them and learn as you go. So for example, if you want to remove the background of this really cool image you're using for a website design, well, you can now look up how to remove background from an image. And you can now start learning from YouTube videos and doing step-by-step tutorials, and you will solve these problems. And now you will start learning software in a way that is natural, in a way that makes sense, and in a way that you can actually integrate into your repertoire of skills and tricks. You will now retain this information. You're not learning software in a vacuum right now. You are integrating software skills into your understanding of graphic design in general. So in conclusion, believe me when I say that if you approach graphic design in this way, if you start learning graphic design principles, and if you learn how to apply these principles to real designs, you will improve dramatically, almost immediately, and you will have quick wins. And you will get inspired to continue your journey, to continue this transition into graphic design. And you will get involved with more projects and you will get better. So learn graphic design principles. And if you want to know more about graphic design principles, watch this video next.